spots a winning move for Praggnanda that I'm really curious if he found it. He found it! He played King H2. Do I see that correctly? He played the winning move! I'm sorry, I'm screaming, but that move is winning! It's winning! Because now all the threats that David showed, the check on b8 and then check on b7, now it's gonna win the rook. There's no more check with the black queen going for the draw.
The queen to b3 is also threatened now too, because before you couldn't do it because of queen c1 check. So you're right, Anna. Rook b8, queen b7, queen b3. Every single threat is back on the books, and you saw Magnus just give a bit of an exasperated kind of. Well, that's a tough one to follow.
What a move! King to h2, cool as a cucumber, winning move, moving the king one square up.
I love it.
That is so classy. That's prophylaxis, dodging checks in advance. That's great calculation, spotting that black simply has no way to untangle now. And according to our featured chat here, at least, apparently it was the only move to win directly on the spot.
The only way to win in one move. King h2 might be a move that forces resignation. Somehow I doubt it. I think we'll get one more, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's why the hype was real. It was a star. A star is born. King h2 and Praggnanda is an absolute star. What a find. And yeah.
What a game this has been from start to finish. And we were praising Magnus Carlsen for his opening choice because he did find a way to make Pragg somewhat uncomfortable in the opening. We were talking about the pair of bishops, how Pragg prefers to play with the pair of bishops, and this was a line where the bishop would be traded. All those things did not matter. He didn't care. He said, okay, it's not what I prefer normally, but I can still play extremely well. And Magnus was too slow. He didn't castle. He went for queenside development, and that led to all the problems with the tactical patterns opening up the position. And now he needs to resign. Can he set up any traps? Is there any further tricks? Some last resource, David?
I don't see it.
David, you're on the spot. Find it. No, I agree.
The inexistent move to save the game.
I mean, first of all, incredible accuracy by Pragg. I saw a graph a moment ago showing White's advantage. That was really actually emblematic of how smooth he's been, how consistent he's been. Look at that. White's been better throughout, and it's only grown the advantage. What I would try, I think, if I were Magnus, just to try and prolong the fight 1 or 2 moves longer, Anna, I would ask one last question. Maybe play the move queen c6 to rule out one of your threats, just to stop rook b8, followed by queen b7. I cover the b7 square. But, I mean...
Queen b3.
Queen b3.
That's the other move that was coming. And
threatening checkmate in one is also pretty cool.
I have to block.
Queen e8 loses the queen, so if you block, I assume you just take d5 and keep marching forward.
Yeah.
You can check on b4 or a3.
Like your check, Anna, and just jump in.
Check and get into e7.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Even more efficient. The position is completely falling apart at the seams. And look at that game graph. That is a dominating performance start to finish. We call that a wire-to-wire victory. And again, full kudos and shout-out to Pragg. I mean, anyone who saw the beginning of the show, I thought that Magnus's approach was kind of brilliant. As someone who's been in a spot where an experienced player just out transpositions you end up overthinking things and getting yourself in trouble. Pragg was using a ton of time on the clock, clearly looked uncomfortable. I think Magnus even had said himself in his first confessional visit that he kind of liked what he had gotten out of the opening, but he also acknowledged it was a provocative choice, it was an edgy choice, and when Pragg found it, he never looked back, as you could see. This has been absolutely incredible. Praggnanda is... he's also just comfy there. He works hard at the board, but feels like he has a presence that he knows this is no longer a surprising result for him. He expects to get the job done when he has white against anybody, even if it's Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah, and it feels like if we didn't know who his opponent was, you would think that he's playing against someone that maybe has less experienced or lower rated. From the way he dominated this game, it's crazy to know that this is Praggnanda versus Magnus Carlsen. This is an 18-year-old chess rock star taking down the #1 player in the world with a move like king to h2. I would not be surprised if this becomes the move of the day, by the way. King to h2, move of the day. That would be my candidate.
Move of the day. He's 18. By the way, didn't Gukesh turn 18 like today? Today. So the
Happy
couple,
birthday!
some 18-year-olds
Happy
out there.
birthday.
Happy birthday to Gukesh, perhaps from your countryman Praggnanda, getting a dub for you.
What a present! What a present to India as well.
What a present to India, a present for Gukesh. Prague is on the verge of delivering, beating the tournament leader, and I don't think Magnus Carlsen has much more in the tank here. You asked a question earlier, Anna, whether this position was survivable.
Survivable word of the day.
Survivable.
Survivable
for Pragg.
Is the position survivable? Well, guess what? They looked it up, and it is a word of an accident or ordeal able to be survived, not fatal. So,
is it survivable?
We're batting 3 for 3. We have not made up any words yet. Survivable. No, this position is not survivable. It is not able to be survived for Magnus Carlsen. It is fatal.
Yeah, and one thing I'll point out, and I shouldn't be mentioning this because he's one of my best friends out there, Magnus, but the only way to beat him, attack. Players respect him too much, swap off queens, try to play for a draw. You never ever see Magnus lose an endgame. You never see him get outplayed positionally. It's just king safety. He didn't castle his king. He gets mated. And this does happen from time to time. The kind of classical losses, rapid losses, blitz losses he has, they're only ever due to king safety issues. So keeping the queens on by Pragg, inspired decision, going for the attack, and the way he executed it. Not many people capable of that, of course, but impressive stuff.
Does it mean, David, then, in your opinion, that sometimes you kind of need to not respect how strong, how experienced your opponent is, that you're playing the world #1, the man that has ruled the chess world for over a decade by now? You somehow need to forget all those titles and just go and play always one move at a time. Is that the recipe? As much easier said than done, of course.
I told you, if Magnus could just show up in a mask and they didn't know they were playing him, maybe they would launch more attacks. No, but David, I agree. It's easier said than done, of course, but you have to be aggressive against Magnus Carlsen.
It's the only way.
And it's paying off for Pragg. He has he's known one speed in this game. And that speed, I believe, was like 178 miles per hour. It was speeding. It was illegal how fast he was going, and Pragg has kept his foot pedal to the metal all game. And
3,000 miles an hour, this one. I'm actually just remembering, I was going to mention Qatar Masters, where Magnus lost to a far lower rated player. He got attacked, checkmated pretty much. That was also a hedgehog. So Magnus, maybe the hedgehog isn't his favorite animal after all. This opening coming back to bite him.
Interesting.
And we really praised him so much for the opening choice, and we thought that Pragg was going to be uncomfortable, but he proved us all wrong. He proved us that it didn't matter, that it's not the kind of opening he wanted or that he prepared for. He was ready for the fight no matter what. I love that they are so disrespectful in a way, that they go for it. These youngsters, Praggnanda, Gukesh, they're showing that it's the best approach against the experienced top players of the world, that you just... Oh, I thought that was resignation for a second.
Rook to g8.
The king almost fell, but it's rook to g8.
It does lose the rook, I believe, so I'm not sure what the trick is. David, you spot something?
You cannot check. I thought it lost the rook as well, but if you check, the black king hides g7, h8 into the corner.
Ah, okay, yeah.
That's
okay,
clever.
so it doesn't lose the rook.
Yet.
It doesn't lose the rook yet.
What about our other threat? Our other attempt was queen b3.
Queen to
b3.
And there's no rook takes g2. That was my first thought. Is there a sacrifice by the rook and some sort of renegade perpetual check by Magnus? But I don't think so.
Pragg is about to play queen to b3.
Yep.
Yeah, and queen b3 has another idea as well. If, for example, black blocks with d5, then you give the check. And if king g7, then you slide the white queen across to g3.
Oh, nice.
So there's actually
very pretty that the g5 will be then crucial. Queen to g3, picking up the rook on g8. This is, I think, just the last attempt by Magnus Carlsen, whether Pragg will play the winning move, and he does. Queen to b3, threatening checkmate on f7, and there is no defense for the world #1. This is it. Game over. I think he might play one move more, perhaps, or not even. What do you think, David? d5 and then see what happens?
There
and
we
then
go.
resign.
D5, but now, as we mentioned, this check is decisive. The black king cannot snake its way into the corner. If the black king tries to enter the G file, there will be another check, a second check from a new angle, and game over. Magnus is trying to keep his poker face. Normally we see more head shakes from Magnus, but I think he respects how much how accurate Pragg has been today.
Yes, he definitely respects him a lot. And
Wow.
Takes H7.
Pragg takes the pawn on H7 instead of the check that we were expecting.
No, but this is great. Threatens checkmate in 2.
It's perhaps even stronger.
With queen to B8 check.
There were multiple ways of winning.
Multiple ways of winning. Magnus maybe plays queen D6, maybe resigns. Queen D6 is met by queen to B7, because then there will be no more rook sacrifices on G2. And there you go. Magnus Carlsen has resigned. Praggnanda has beaten the world number 1, the former world champion, but greatest player of all time, arguably, Praggnanda. The future is bright. And currently, the stars are shining here in Norway. The youngest player in the field gets it done, beats the tournament leader. They're discussing something about the variation, but either way, India is discussing whatever party they're going to throw now.
For Gugash's birthday, for Praggnanda's win over Magnus Carlsen, Vaishali leading the women's event. There's so many reasons that they need to celebrate.
Absolutely wild.